Welcome to episode 3 of /Strange. Tonight we're going to dive into a new topic. No Deltoff Pass or anything like that this week. I want to start tonight a little differently than the last couple episodes.
Okay.
I just want to ask you a question. As you're watching this, and have you ever had a moment in time where you 100% without a shadow of a doubt know that you remember something being the way that it is?
Absolutely.
And you only come to find out through proof now, because we can pretty much prove anything in a second with our smartphones.
Yeah.
That you are 100% incorrect based on every bit of knowledge or information, but it doesn't feel right at all.
And you've never been right.
Right. And you've never been right. It's not that it changed or it got modified or they discovered something new. It's just you were 100% dead wrong forever. That's called the Mandela Effect. And it's a major thing going on. It's all over the place right now. I would be really surprised if this is the first video on it you've ever seen.
And you may have heard about it but not even realized it, or maybe experienced it in your life and just hadn't known that there was a name put to it. You're like, I don't remember that logo or that thing looking like this or sounding like this, or
you just assume that, they must have changed their logo, or they must have. Well, they didn't. They did not. Well, not always. But
yeah.
Well, and I think we're going to start tonight with just a bunch of examples to ease you into this, and then we're going to move to the theory side, similar to how most of this is going to go. We'll talk about what it is, where it started, give you some examples, and then we'll move into some of the craziness.
Yeah, so a lot of it starts with just simple logos of things in your everyday life. So you might open the pantry one day, and you might look and you see Fruit Loops, and you
think about it real quick.
Yeah.
In your brain, viewer, Fruit Loops. How do they spell fruit? How do they spell loops? If you said fruit was spelled F-R-U-I-T, you were wrong.
Yeah, because everybody looks at the logo and says, "Oh, the loops have the little Fruit Loops as the O's, but also the F-R-U-I-T is the same." No, it's actually F-R-O-O-T.
F-Root Loops.
F-Root Loops. Yes.
Correct.
Same thing with another example you might have known is Chick-fil-A. Apparently, a lot of people believe that Chick-fil-A has always been spelled C-H-I-C-F-I-L-A, but it's apparently C-H-I-C-K.
Yeah, like a little baby chick.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
But
these
are not, and it's important to point out too that this is not like a few people here and there that have like.
Right. It's in the thousands and tens of thousands even for some of them. And some people will back all of these changes. Some only back the ones that they can verify within themselves, like 100%.
Right.
It's
one of the things that we discussed that blew our minds was the Ford logo.
Yeah, because I drove a Ford. My dad had a Ford, and then I had a Ford. For 10 years, I had a Ford Explorer. Looked at the symbol every day of my life. Now, off the crossbar of the F, there's a little pigtail loopy-loop thing. It's never been there. I would almost bet my soul to the devil that it was not there.
Because you looked at it every day. You had a Ford vehicle for that long. Like, is there a chance that you just didn't pay attention after the hundreds of, probably thousands of times you saw the logo? Yeah, I guess, but so there's a little on the. We're talking about the little crossbar on the F with the cursive. Has a little loop-de-loop.
I'll put up pictures for all the ones we talk about.
So there's a bunch with logos. There's Kit Kat. Apparently, a lot of people think there's a dash in the middle of Kit Kat. Not so.
You've driven a decent amount of Volkswagens.
Yeah.
Do you remember ever the VW being connected, or do you always remember the gap between the V and W?
I do remember I think I always remember being disconnected, like a gap in between it, but I can't be for sure.
There's a scene in Back to the Future.
Okay.
The scene where the Volkswagen van pulls up and Doc gets shot.
Yeah.
And if you watch that scene very closely, and the quality of film shot when that was shot and trying to freeze frame moments of it, but it almost looks as though when it cuts from one angle, you'll see it fully connected. And then it cuts to another, you can clearly see the line between it.
Interesting.
So people have used that as like, here's proof, or it's just like bad angles in film because it looks really blurry to me, and blurred images merged together.
Another good question is why did the terrorists use a Volkswagen van to do their dirty work?
They were Germans. Oh,
were they?
I'm pretty sure I don't remember. It's been a while since I've watched Back to the Future, but I'm pretty sure they were German something.
Or maybe you remember them being German and they were it once, but the Mandela Effect has fucking destroyed that.
Not gonna lie, we shot episode 9 of Forward Slash last night, and I made about 800 Mandela jokes throughout it. Just fair warning whenever that episode actually airs.
Yeah. So there's a lot of logos. There are tons and tons of them. And some of them have changed. We're not talking about logos that have changed. We're talking about logos that
were never what you thought they were.
Exactly. In art and media, there are a bunch, in a bunch of TV shows, Pokemon. Pikachu. So if you picture Pikachu in your mind, what does he look like? Is he yellow? He has red cheeks, and then he has black ears and a black edge of his tail. Wrong. He does not have a black tail.
Yeah, apparently he's never had that.
Never had it.
Even this even shows up in artwork, like Henry VIII, the painting of him. People remember him holding a turkey leg that he's just not holding anymore.
Yeah, I kind of remember that too.
Right. And see, there's some of them where I'm like, that sounds right, but I can't back that.
Yeah, I can't back that one up.
And there's some where I'm like, nah, I'd go to bat for this one, like Looney Tunes.
Yeah, there are tons of them.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Looney Tunes.
Looney, Toon, like
a
tunes.
cartoon.
Like a cartoon. No, it's iTunes. It's Looney Tunes. It's music. They make music now.
Yeah, TUNES, which I don't know. It's just strange.
Right.
That would even because you would think it'd be shortened from cartoon, which is TOON, but. Curious George, the little monkey that eats a banana, never had a tail. Has always been tailless. But whenever people draw him in fan fiction and stuff, he has a tail.
Does that make him more of a mini Sasquatch?
I think so. Big feet.
Big feet. He's a Bigfoot?
Yeah.
He's big feet.
Okay, the TV show about the 4 women who go out and party and drink and stuff
in New York.
What's that show called? If you said Sex in the City, which one is it? Is it Sex in the City or and?
Sex in the City is what most people remember.
Yeah.
Sex and the City?
Sex and the City.
Is what apparently it's always been.
Yeah.
Just like Interview with the Vampire and Interview with a Vampire. Which one do you remember being correct?
Right. It's Interview with the, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. There's a lot of different shows like that. We have, even some people go as far as to say continents have or land masses have disappeared.
Physical geography has changed.
Yeah.
There used to be, apparently many people believe there used to be a large island to the west of Australia. And
so not New Zealand, because New Zealand's to the east of Australia, the southeast.
Yeah, it usually gets cut off maps or left off maps. But to the left there was a continent. Oddly enough, same area that Malaysian airline flight was supposedly went down in.
Oh, really?
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So, but that island's not gone. However, and this isn't a great example in my opinion, but it's still interesting. The movie Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they have a globe and he's spinning it, and if you slow that down, you can see this large continent that people believe was there on this globe.
People have froze that frame and they're clearly there's a landmass there. It's on the globe.
Right, and I would assume that they just I don't know. I don't think a company would make a bad it's possible.
Yeah.
They made a bad globe. I doubt they made that themselves for it because it'd be way cheaper and more efficient just to go buy one.
We're forgetting the most famous example of all.
No, we're just leaving the big one to blow everyone's mind, right?
Oh, okay. Sure.
Or we're forgetting. It also goes into physically people's names have changed. Or Hitler. What color are Hitler's eyes?
If you were to ask me that question, I would say brown, because I remember when I was learning about Hitler, I learned about how he, preferred blue eyes and blonde hair and that whole deal. But I was like, how can you promote that if you have brown eyes?
Well, he didn't. He had blue eyes, apparently.
Apparently
now,
he had blue eyes.
I could attribute that being a large part to that probably
black and white
80% of the photos and things that you see of him are in black and white.
That's true. That's a good point.
But I still would have swore that it wasn't.
Another historical event is the Kennedy assassination. Like when people watch the Zapruder film, apparently there are 6 people in the car. People that remember it from memory when when they saw it originally only recall 4 people being in the car.
Right.
So if you would ask a lot of people on the street how many people were in the car when Kennedy was assassinated, a lot of people would say 4.
Right.
But there were 6.
Now, and this goes even farther, that people believe that, so we have labels and logos, we have geography, we have art and media,
history,
celebrity names, the way they are just spelled, and that's, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Right. There's...
Because those are easily, like, so there's an example like Christopher Reeves. I feel like that's probably just people not remembering correctly.
Right.
It's easy to mess people's names up. How many middle school teachers have you had that have messed your name up? Unless your name's like John Smith. Yeah.
I had one who called me Dylon for an entire year, even though I corrected her every single day.
Well, it's because your name's spelled with a Y,
yes.
So obviously has to be a Y sound.
Right.
Can't be Dylan. Has to be Dylon.
It still messes me up because one of the company logos is Oscar Mayer. My baloney has a first name, Oscar. My baloney has a second name, Mayer.
Yeah.
My problem with this is, how do you spell John Mayer's last name?
Yeah, I know.
It's not Meyer. It doesn't work.
Mayer.
You're fucking with me, and I don't like it.
John Mayer baloney.
Right. Oscar Mayer makes hot dogs and bologna.
Yep.
A major one, and I think a centerpiece for one that that a lot of people like put as the center focus, is a children's book that most of us read as kids.
That's a big one.
You guys probably remember it. It's about a family of bears called the Bernstein Bears. Wrong. It's wrong. Apparently, it's the Bernstein Bears.
Yep.
There's an A at the end, not an E.
So a lot of people remember it Stein. It's apparently always been Stain. And I had the books when I was a kid, and my mom always pronounced it Berenstein, which maybe that's how it's pronounced, and it's just like a weird wording of that. But I swear, I never thought there was an A there ever. Right. I've read a bunch of those books when I was a kid. So
this also goes as deep as you can find doctors and nurses, and you can find interviews of them talking about how they believe the human anatomy has changed. From things like, if you picture a skull, like in a lot of old films, they used real skeletons, not mock-up ones.
Okay. It was super creepy, by the way. But
yeah. Well, not for like a lot of like, it was cheaper. You could get them. It wasn't like his.
Back in the old days, you could buy skeletons just on the corner of the market.
Yeah, there was just guys who sold skulls, and you had to assemble it yourself. No, that's not. They did for effect, and I my guess would be that fake ones of the same period looked like garbage.
Yeah, probably.
But if you look at the human skull, you remember the deep, open eye sockets.
Yeah.
I always thought that was like a really creepy element of the human skull. But apparently there's not. There's now a bone plate behind them. Because I used to remember people like, you stab them in the eye, you kill them. Because it was like right to the brain, done.
And this is just what, certain doctors have said.
That
is not like,
from what they studied in school in the 80s till now and stuff like that. So yeah, the eye socket isn't an opening to the brain anymore. There's a plate there, and the nerve from your eye goes between a little slit, and it's way more protected. The heart being a little differently, the ribs being differently. And you and I kind of talked about that we both have this memory of like waking up one day and our ribs just feeling really weird.
Yeah.
And I don't attribute to I believe my ribs changed overnight or anything like that, but it's like, And I think that's part of this. Like, once you start diving into it, I think you become more susceptible to it.
Yeah, because then you start questioning things, and you have to kind of keep a skeptical mind about you too. Like, there's certain things where you just have to say, like, probably not, you know. But.
Right. Well, and even some people used to believe that we were in the Sagittarius arm of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
And we're actually in the Orion arm, or Orion arm, however it's pronounced. I'm garbage at this spelling game. If you look at my sheet, there's probably 800 misspelled words. That's just how my life works.
Yeah.
So, and you might, and that brings us to essentially the thing that kind of sparked all this, because I think it was 2010. Is my date correct? The person who kind of launched the Mandela Effect as...
It was 2010. Fiona Broom.
Started with a conversation, a simple conversation, talking about Mandela.
Yeah, Nelson
Mandela, South African leader, who died in 2013. And I remember that. That's...
Yeah, I do too.
That's what I remember. Not Morgan Freeman. Okay? Nelson Mandela. They look the same.
They look pretty similar.
But a lot of people remember him when he was in prison dying from dysentery or something of that nature. And there's even some people, and it's really bizarre because some people believe it was 87, some people believe it was 88, some people believe it was 89, and different reasons each of those years. And one of them was pneumonia of some sort that he died from in one of the altered belief realities. And he actually did get that and survived it in prison. So they believe, possible like verge of a timeline type thing going on, if that's what you want to believe when it comes down to it with all this stuff. But so because of how many people remember, and they remember him not only dying, they remember his funeral.
They remember people mourning, and even his
musicians putting on concerts for him. And his widow fighting over a book right deal or something.
And giving like a speech about him and all kinds of stuff. They remember like specific events, not just like, I thought that guy.
Right. And it's not just this lady, it's like thousands of people who remember this event.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen according to history. It just never happened. It makes it, I find it really interesting. The gentleman who wrote 1984, Wells.
George Orwell.
Orwell.
Yeah.
I said Wells. He has a quote. Whoever controls the past controls the future, and whoever controls the present
controls the past.
And it's very, I think it's like very suiting for this whole conversation. So, I mean, those are some of the examples. I don't know, like, there are, you can go online and you can just see hundreds of them. Like, while I'm talking right now, I'll probably just flash up a sheet of a bunch of them that we didn't talk about. The rest of them, you'll see them when we talked about them. But you'll see a bunch of them. And some of them, you'll be like, no, I don't remember that at all. Some of them, maybe you'll feel the way we do, where we're like, no, I definitely remember this being differently.
Jesus.
But what can cause this?
Yeah, like what are some of the causes? People have definitely tried to find out. People have theories. There are a bunch of theories ranging from just people remembering it wrong to more supernatural type of stuff.
Right. And if we want to hold true to like our nature of the last episode, and we want to start with like the more logical. Mm-hmm. So false memories is probably the big one. And if you end up going to bat and you're like, I believe in this and I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to support it, a lot of people are going to come at you as, stop smoking so much pot, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're just remembering wrong. Your brain's dumb. Your brain's dumb. So, and that's, false memories. Us just misremembering how something went down.
Stop looking so hard at the Fruit Loops box when you're all drunked up when you get home after the bar. Yep. So that's just one of, people just say it's just false. You're just remembering it wrong.
Right, which I would buy if it wasn't so many people. Yeah. Because every extra 100 people you tack into the group of believers makes it harder and harder to believe that many people could have a false memory.
Right.
Because it's like the Holocaust deniers. No one pays attention to those people because there's like 20 of them.
Yeah.
if there was like 20,000 across the globe, it'd be like weird. It would be much like weirder.
25% of like the population,
right?
And you're like, oh,
like okay, wait, hold on, right? So it's intriguing. I don't think
it's just too. I don't know. It's just like that could be it, but
it's too simple for such a vast.
There are a lot of examples
things happening on. Right, it's not one or two things. It's probably close to 100 items at this point, if not more.
Yeah, and it's not one or two people, like we said.
You know, so whether you could lump this in there, like linguistic effects, just such as, and I think this is more likely than just false memory. Like, we have a way with our brain of, you know, you can read a word that's misspelled and never catch that it was misspelled because you know in your brain what it's supposed to be like.
And that's why a lot of times when you, like, if I write a paper, like, I write an article, I have somebody else read it. Because I'm blind. You know, if you write it, you're blind to the errors because you know
what it's supposed to. Yeah. So
it could be something like that. Well, like, there's another example. I just want to, because we forgot about this one and fit this in, is when Darth Vader is confronting Luke and Luke's hanging from the pole and he's got him cornered before he drops down in Cloud City.
Spoilers, bro.
Yeah. Well, what does he say to Luke? Like, what's the most famous Star Wars quote ever?
Obi-Wan told you about what did Obi-Wan tell you about your father?
Yeah.
He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
Which is apparently what he says, even though most of us remember Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Vote down below whose Vader was better.
So that's a huge example, and that goes into that linguistic thing you're talking about, kind of.
Right, because no, I am your father sounds awkward. It doesn't even sound right. It fits, and technically, I think it is accurate, like English-wise.
I remember it always being that when I was a kid. Granted, I'm only 30, so like I watched them when I was in probably like 4th grade or something. A bunch though.
And I think, and like I said, some of them it can be explained away, and I don't think necessarily belong on the list. I don't think no, I am your father versus Luke, I am your father should be on this list. And
right.
Because one, there's interviews with James Earl Jones where he says Luke. In Tommy Boy, he says Luke, I am your father. So there's all these other pop culture areas where they use Luke because it's way more descriptive in those moments.
Yeah.
Granted, in the James Earl Jones one, he does say, when I read this script and it said, Luke, I am your father, I was like, oh, how are they going to get me out of this? Like, how are they going to, like, why is he lying to Luke? He's like, this dude's so evil. Why would he be lying to Luke like this? And that's what James Earl Jones, the guy who voiced Vader, said the line was, which is kind of like one of those, like, oh. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Picture, you know, you're in 1978 or whenever Star Wars came out. It was a phenomenon. Everybody loved it. It was a great success, basically from the beginning in theaters. And people were quoting all kinds of stuff from it. You're not just gonna go up to like your coworker and say, "No, I'm your father," because it doesn't sound. There's no context. If you say the word Luke, everybody instantly knows what you're talking about. And I don't think it's an intentional thing. I think you're just in your mind trying to be as clear as possible with the quote.
Now, and for me, I'm going to point this out. I believe that something's going on. I just don't. I think that we're broadening the category too largely, and that some of these can be explained away. I don't know how you feel.
I feel like a good percentage, good chunk.
Yeah. So like, I'm not by us like disproving one in our way of thinking. It doesn't mean we don't believe. I do. I think you're a little bit more on the.
I'm always a little bit more on the skeptical side, but it's interesting to talk about, and it's just interesting to go over these theories, and just makes you think,
right?
You know?
Because if it is false memories or linguistic effects or something of that nature, then we have literally one of the largest scale mass delusions in the history of human existence. which in itself is super intriguing just to discuss and think about.
Even if you cut out all the paranormal shit, all the theories we're about to just discuss here, and just say 25% of the population remembers something wrong. That in itself is mind blowing.
Right. That itself is okay. Let's study what is going on with the human brain.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an entirely different discussion.
Right.
But that in itself is super intriguing. But then we get into the world of the strange, the more bizarre. Because beyond that, I don't think there's any more logical.
No, I don't think there's any more
unless you lump so some people believe whether it's our government or it's a foreign government, that it's some sort of psyop experiment being done to us. Which essentially the theory is that there's studies out there and there's articles about how you can manipulate the electronic field to affect the nervous system, which kind of controls everything.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a little over my head.
This stuff is well read.
But it's out there.
They can produce these signals through monitors, through cell phones, and that they could be kind of rewriting brain chemistry in people. And that different people...
So this is doing it right now?
Possibly.
So in 10 minutes, we're going to be
there's
nothing to fear. There's no Mandela Effect.
If we were going live, since we're not live, unless they're watching us through your camera on here.
I'm sure they are. They'll rewrite history to make us live.
Right.
That just totally derail you.
Yeah, just a little bit. No, but if that's going on, holy shit, the capabilities of what you could do to civilizations is crazy. Especially if this first wave of logos and movie quotes and people's names is just most of this stuff is minor until you get to the human anatomy, geography, land masses changing, things of that nature. It's they're scaling up. They tested it, doing minor crap that doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how Fruit Loops is spelled.
Who is they?
Right. The people.
Creepy. Hope you're not watching this before you go to bed. Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys.
We all sleep with our phone right next to our heads, right?
Yeah.
All of us.
So that's...
You wonder why you're not dreaming anymore? They don't want you to remember. No. Okay, we're getting way into the weeds. Okay. Oh,
we're gonna just get into crazy conspiracy talk. All right, we'll bring it back down. So
if that
psyop experience,
since there's proven theory of them being able to do stuff like this, it is slightly more in the realm of logical.
A little, yeah. It's just it's in the realm of logical, but improbable, but
right.
Maybe.
I will say though, it does look like they're scaling up. Because it started off with logos and movie quotes and minor historical events, and it scales up. Interesting fact with all this stuff, almost everyone who believes that something's going on believes it's all being done negatively to us.
For a negative effect or a malicious
yes. I never hear anyone saying if our human anatomy did change, if our rib cage is protecting more organs now than it used to, and your eye sockets are more protective, is it not possible that some major catastrophic event in the future happened, and that this is some way of the future trying to correct the past to prevent something from happening?
Yeah,
they're trying to hey. Joseph Mandela died in prison in the 80s. Shit got really bad in South Africa after that and ended up starting a civil war that ended up leading to a world war that ended up decimating the planet.
Nelson Mandela.
What did I say? I keep saying Joseph. Nelson Mandela. I did that earlier too. I was Joseph. And you correct. Thank you. Nelson Mandela. So if we can go back in time and change that event, now this doesn't happen and it all works out way better for everyone.
That's a good point that I don't often hear, yeah.
Right. Most of the time when you get into this stuff, it's always they're trying to take over the world and they're manipulating.
Yeah.
What if they're fixing shit?
I just want to go on the record and say, the anatomy thing, for me, is a little hard to, I'm more skeptical of that than I am of, the logos and stuff like that. Just for me personally.
The scale of what you would assume it would take, you would almost have to hasten evolution at some point in human history.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been something that happened in the 80s and now like we're different. It would be, I'm talking like tens of thousands, like you know what I mean? Like long time ago, you would have to make changes to speed up. Because like, who's to say that if on the normal timeline, not our altered one that we now live in apparently, on the normal timeline, that the way we are now is how we ended up another 1,000 years from now.
Yeah.
But they sped it up for whatever reason, to protect against a disease, to protect against something.
Which kind of brings you to the next cause of the parallel universes.
Which one are you looking at?
Well, because we were on PSYOP experiment, but then we kind of drifted into you're like, oh, different timelines.
Yeah. So I think if you're watching this, you're probably no stranger to the ideas and concepts of parallel universes. And is that the one you're going to?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
So every decision you make, you woke up this morning and you're like, I want eggs. No. I want waffles. You've now created 2 timelines. One you had waffles, one you had eggs. And this goes for every decision, apparently, that you make. Bullshit. That's crazy to me. And I'll tell you why.
Crazy to me
because
too.
Technically, there's a possibility that every morning I could do every possible event. Which means, like, the amount of fracturing is just too extreme based on the number of people in existence. I believe, I'm not saying that I don't believe in parallel universes. I think it's way more calculated, though. It's not going to come down, it could come down to stuff like waffle and eggs.
The whole theory is that there will be multiple parallel universes somehow, and this is a weird explanation for it, but somehow like ebbing back and forth, and every time they come in contact with each other, something changes because something is overwritten. So like the Ford logo in Universe A and Universe B is different, and then somehow they converge at kind of the same time and then replace one another.
Right. And what I was saying is that if it does fracture out the way that they say, that's so many, that I feel like there has to be strength behind the force of a timeline that you create. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To where whether or not I put on blue shoes or red shoes is such a minor decision for the day that timeline would eventually dissipate out and fade from the timelines because
I've never heard of the creation of different timelines
based on parallel worlds based on the decisions you make.
Yeah.
Like if you get married or if you choose to get married or not, you've essentially created 2 timelines.
It's weird.
So but then every person, the 7 billion of us on the planet, are all doing this.
Yeah.
And so essentially that's why they say an infinite number of parallel universes is because of that. That's what it comes down to. It's an infinite number, which I believe is just, if it's happening, there has to be more science to it than just that randomness. That's chaos to me. But yeah, so these things are merging in and out. And I think I told you about the soap bubble explanation to where like our universe, our Earth is like a soap bubble. And when these parallel realities are created, they create it's like if you take a bubble and you fuck with it, you can break it off into smaller bubbles, and it's technically the same bubble. It's just a little different. So eventually, maybe the big bubble with another vibration would pull something back in instead of just putting off another one, and therefore you get these variations because this bubble has been on its own. And the people who kind of talk about this, they cite it all the way back to like the origin of the universes. It started as one. Something happened and it popped out all these other ones, and and so on and so forth. And they kind of talk about like the creation of the moon because of like what I'm saying, because they believe the moon is from. Some people believe the moon was created based on like thousands of impacts of the Earth. And that is all kind of so you can go down every one of these theories. You can go down a rabbit hole that you'll spend a week on, and you'll just come out like, my brain hurts. I want ice cream and I want to watch cartoons.
I think this one is probably my most probably the one.
That's only because the dude you love to death believes it.
So there's another theory that basically we're living.
Yeah, I'll let you rock that one all.
We're living in like a Matrix type of simulation or simulated reality. Sounds like Hollywood bullshit because it sounds like just, you guys are just taking it from the Matrix. But apparently, there are a lot of scientists and great thinkers of the world that believe in this theory, not even related to the Mandela Effect, just in general, that we live in a simulated reality. And the evidence that they use to support this is that if you take a look at computer graphics development and an interface of virtual worlds, you can go back to Pong. That's where it kind of started. That was like the first mass market game. And then you evolve through time to get Space Invaders. Then you get like the Nintendo, where you get Legend of Zelda, Super Mario, Super Nintendo, and it's not just video games, but you see where I'm going, where the graphics get better and better and better and better.
Every reiteration, every step forward is a little better, a little smoother, a little bit more real.
So the theory is that if you extrapolate that out over many, many generations, where even right now in 2017, we have PlayStation 4 and Xbox One or S or what, I don't even know the Xbox One.
Yeah, it's Xbox One.
Yeah. So we can even look at those and we can say those look pretty good. Those look pretty photorealistic. If you take that out even further, the theory is that at some point we're going to be able to generate graphics that are indistinguishable from real life, as far as definition, the amount of pixels and everything that we keep adding. So if you take a TV and put on a picture of the outside and look through it, it'll look as if you're looking through a window, because it will look so realistic that your brain won't even be able to tell the difference. And one of the main guys that I follow that supports this theory is Elon Musk, CEO, founder of Tesla, SpaceX.
Didn't he say something like the chances that we're not living in a matrix is like 1 in a billion?
Yeah, by his calculation. Because he basically says this: if you then logically take that even further, what are the chances if there are tons and tons of simulated realities and there are civilizations that have gone that far with technology? What are the chances that we're the one that's not? Like, we're the one that naturally evolved and we're not a simulation? Put it this way. Think of all the video games humans have created. And then imagine that every single one of those video games is indistinguishable from reality. So then you group all those together, which there's only one reality, but there are tons of different simulated realities. Right. So what are the chances that we're living in the one? It's interesting to think about, and basically it goes back to the Mandela Effect of, like, if it is something created by an advanced civilization, they might tweak little things, or it might be changes in code, or however it's created or something like that makes little changes.
It also leads to the ability that if it is, and it's as advanced as it would have to be to feel this real for us, the ones within it, it's almost like think about Terminator. Mm-hmm. Technology gets so intelligent that it starts acting on its own. It can do its own thing. It manipulates the world that it's created in. Well, that would mean that it's possible that someone much smarter than you or I could also then theoretically hack into the matrix they're a part of and be making changes themselves. It wouldn't even have to necessarily be the creators.
That's true.
That there could be elements within the simulation that are intelligent enough and smart enough and have broken some sort of boundary. Neo. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that is a Hollywood sci-fi bullshit movie, but the fundamentals of it are sound.
That's probably like my number 2. I understand it and it makes sound like logic to me.
Yeah.
And it also, like you said, like patching. Things get patched and changed in video games.
Right.
I can prove it right now. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
You ready? I don't know if you're ready.
I don't think I am.
Every single one of us has a dad or a grandfather or an uncle who has uttered the following phrase: "Man, they didn't make women like this when I was a kid."
Yeah.
And that's not a sexist thing. It's what I'm pointing out is, like, whether you like it or prefer it or not.
That women got patched.
We got patched too, but what I'm saying is like, it's like they've been improved
the character,
the anatomies and everything like that, like to like be more like aesthetically pleasing for both. now looking at us, we missed a couple patches.
Yeah,
we're behind.
We are on the last operating system before the big upgrade.
We're XP.
Yeah.
You guys are all Windows 10, because I'm sure you're all beautiful fucks.
Or OS 10.
OS 10. So that's the Matrix theory. These next two kind of go hand in hand. We kind of briefly talked about it, but I'll go a little more in depth. So whether it happens tomorrow or 10,000 years down the line, it's hard to believe that there won't be the creation of time travel at some point.
Yeah, I think it's either with that,
kind of the same thing with your video games being spanned out.
Yeah,
just the way that we're already.
There are certain people though that I've talked to that are just like, nope, impossible.
Right, and some people believe that.
Yeah,
but for the rest of us, who I think it's possible. I think
it is
because I also believe that all time is happening at the same time. That time is. We're the only creature in the existence of the universe that fucking found a way to measure something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because time doesn't technically exist.
True.
I can prove it.
Okay. Do it.
Kind of. If I was to call someone in England
Don't blow my mind. I'm too hard.
If I call someone in England right now, 6-hour time difference.
Okay.
And I ask them a question, I don't have to wait 6 hours for a response.
Yeah, but
time is irrelevant. That's simultaneous time.
Yeah. But I think that we just call it.
Get your head out of this bullshit that they're brainwashing you with and understand.
It's because I got the computer in front of me.
I'm not saying that like I'm thinking something weird's happening there. All I'm saying is like time is simultaneous.
And time is subjective based on,
Right. It's not, you can't really measure. We created something that essentially just ruined our lives.
Yeah.
So, I gotta work 8 hours. If we didn't measure time, maybe I'll have to do 2 of something.
Right. Exactly.
They're not hours because we didn't invent it. So, with that being said, time travel would happen.
And I apologize for coughing. I got something.
Nah, you're good. You're good, man.
Got something going on.
Well, we moved out to this dusty, dirty ass garage.
I need to get my new patch. What
right.
I need to get that patch.
You need the updated lungs.
Yeah.
You need the updated lungs.
I don't got the updated lungs.
We're trying to make light of this. Some people take this thing very seriously. We're trying to have more fun with it. So
time travel. I derailed it.
It's fine. Time travel, and that someone's editing things in the past. Changing Ford's idea of their logo. Why someone would come back to do that, I don't know. But I assume if they can time travel back here, they have a much bigger and larger view of what's going on.
The founder of General Motors, like, I'm going to make this look like shit. Put a little squiggly tail on it.
Some distant relative to some guy who got screwed over by Ford. And so
there's a possibility of somebody coming back.
If someone is coming back, then you have to look at maliciously, or selfishly, maliciously, or beneficially.
Yeah,
I think that because they could be coming back selfishly for some reason and altering things to benefit them in a timeline that they know of. They're biffing it from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
they got that almanac of all the sporting events, and then they're using it to get rich type thing.
Biffing it, I like that.
So. Or, like I said, it could be, instead of it being smaller scale, like people doing it, it could be organizations doing it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Some catastrophic event in the future that they're trying to figure out how to stop. There's actually a show on Netflix right now called Travelers.
Oh, really? It's
kind of like where this stems from, where the future is really, really shitty, and they have the ability to send people back into people's bodies.
Oh, cool.
So what they do is like when someone dies of like natural causes or something like that, right before they die, they replace them. And then they just take over that body. And so that person now doesn't die, even though they were supposed to. But they're not messing with the timeline because now that person technically doesn't exist because it's them.
Yeah.
So like they're not really skewing with that person's soul.
Yeah, but is the body still old and like...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't become them. They're in their body, that person's body.
But if they're like 85... then
Yep,
they go back and they're just like, I'm just perpetually 85 now.
And they use social media to kind of pick their targets and find out when people die and things like that, like all the stuff we use now. They're trying to pinpoint when people die of certain things. Cool. Yeah, it's a really cool concept. But they make mistakes because people don't record history correctly either. So like, it's a really interesting theory of time travel stuff. It's pretty cool. But like I bring that up solely because that could be something that's happening. People are coming back and changing things, or they're just changing things. Because like I said, in order to change a line in a movie, it wouldn't be that hard.
Right.
In your Matrix theory, all you gotta do is flip some zeros to ones, and you're good to go.
You're good.
So,
and then the other one, the next one though.
So then there's the big old Hadron Collider in CERN. CERN is a crazy organization that a lot of people believe is the cause of essentially everything bad that's ever happened to them.
Yeah.
And they got that 666 logo, Illuminati.
Oh, they got a logo that's 666. Yeah, maybe.
Dude, it's Illuminati. That's why they do this.
It is. It's proven.
That's why you see celebrities sold this up. It's 666, bro.
Right.
Illuminati. You don't believe in the Illuminati? Dude, Jay-Z and...
The European Organization for Nuclear Research. CERN. Not sure, what.
So people believe that they are opening dimensions into these parallel worlds or altered realities. And this kind of ties in also with D-Wave computers, which are quantum computing, which you watch that speech from that dude.
Yeah. Quantum computing is insane.
It is. Because your basic computer works off of the concept of 1 or 0. Yes or no. On or off. True or false. Binary. It's very simple, but very advanced. A quantum computer, in the simplest way of putting it, works under the impression of on, off, both, true, false, at the same time. It works in a way that your computer just doesn't.
It can be both 1 and 0, both on and off at the same time.
Which in itself is essentially like it exists in a state of thinking that is parallel, like being able to essentially analyze both sides to a point that it needs to extract data.
And they can do things that regular computers would never be able to do, never be able to solve. This is an entire topic that we could go on about for probably
ever.
Longest time.
Regardless, the dude giving the speech on the D-Wave computer literally talks about how they've essentially discovered a bunch of parallel universes.
Yeah.
And then we could theoretically take resources from them.
And this is the CEO or the CFO or something like that.
CTO. He's like the tech guy. He's
for the company. For the company, like one or two companies in the world that make quantum computers now, and one they sold to Google and NASA.
NASA has one, and shocker, they started expanding our scope of the universe real quickly.
And University of Southern California has one also. And this is not just some quack. This is the CTO of the company giving his speech, and he just casually brushes over. He's just like, and he has a PowerPoint. He's like, we can open up parallel universes and then grab resources and bring them back to our whatever, and then just keeps going. Like
wait, hold on. What did you just say? Did you just say we're invading we could invade other realities for resources?
He's just like breezed right past it. Anyway. So this is our computer.
Which would be interesting if it's the Matrix. Because then are we actually breaking into another reality, or are we just breaking into another simulation?
Just like playing Sims and all of a sudden
Like if my Sims game can invade your Sims game? Right. Crazy. So a lot of people believe CERN is messing with particles in the Hadron. Like the D-Wave stuff and the CERN thing are separate but same. Because I think CERN has a quantum computer as well.
Oh, probably.
They have dude, this stuff is crazy. The CERN stuff, and there's a CERN scientist, this older dude, and there's like a shot of him, and it was in a promotional video for CERN, so it's cutting through shots of workers dancing and having a good old time.
Yeah.
And the CERN gentleman is holding up his thumbs, and he has two signs around his neck. And his little piece of paper says, "We are happy, CERN."
We're happy at CERN.
At CERN. I couldn't see the CERN at symbol. But he has a sign that says Bond number 1. And underneath of it, a sign that says Mandela. those of you who don't know, the last name of the first James Bond character is Nelson. So his sign essentially says Nelson Mandela. I don't know if he's just poking fun of people who believe in the Mandela Effect. If he's trying to like tell us like, hey, we're doing this. Because some people think it's either or. Like, hey, they're trying to warn us that something's happening, or they're mocking us like, hey, we're doing this and you can't stop it. And that it's just scientists fucking with the world to see what they can do with no care about the effects. So, which is in itself crazy. I would like to believe there aren't evil empire organizations like you see in superhero movies.
Yeah.
But man,
I think it's more likely that they probably don't know what the fuck they're doing. Instead of being like, we know exactly what we're doing, we're manipulating it. They're probably doing it on.
They're like learning and testing what they can do, but they don't really fully have the full scope of it yet.
Right. I'm trying to find that guy's name, but we'll find it eventually. But you can look it up. Just look up Mandela Effect sign, CERN, CERN, and you'll be able to find it.
CERN.
Or you can throw it up here, whatever.
So,
what else we got?
That's most of them. Retrocausality, which we were kind of talking a little bit about, essentially is like the present or the future affects the past. And this is like on an energy level for the most part. And look up the double slit experiment and dive down that rabbit hole a little bit. I'm not telling you to do it now. Yeah. I'm saying, pause this, go check it out. The double slit experiment is mind blowing to me. It's super cool. It involves particles changing the way they function solely based on being observed or not.
Yeah, it's just so crazy.
Which is really crazy. But essentially it evolves into this huge experiment to where essentially a particle that is split goes one way and then it goes some other things. And when they don't know where it's going to end up, the pattern that it creates is one way. And when they do know where it's going to end up, it creates a different pattern. But before this gets to where it's going to be, the particle that was split off will show what it's going to be.
It's super involved.
So it's super involved. Listen to someone scientific, not me, explain it to you. Essentially what they're saying it shows is that the future of the particle that hasn't landed yet is affecting the past of the particle that is landed.
Right.
And it's crazy. So it brings up the whole theory and concepts of, especially if you believe in things of like that we are an electric universe. There's a whole electric universe theory, and that electricity is essentially like runs through all of us. We all have, look at the brain, lights up like a fucking candle. So if we all are all part of this connected energy wave, then something at any point in time could affect anything from any point in time.
That's good.
And it's like a fluctuation of things. And then it kind of comes down to the whole, like, all time is happening simultaneously as well. And that's how, So that's a lot of crazy things. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, or I'd really like to hear what makes you truly believe or not believe in the Mandela Effect. Is it a particular item that you know or could back 100%?
And there's going to be definitely people that are like watch this and be like, no, it's all bullshit, it's stupid. And there's going to be people that really, that really believe, and then there's going to be a manner of all in between.
Right. And if it is all bullshit, then we have one of the craziest psychological mind-fucked studies to do on the human brain, because it's such a large scale at this point that it's really hard to deny that something isn't happening.
Exactly. I think the same. Like, the possibility that it's all bullshit is almost just as intriguing to me as any one of these other theories, because there's so many people that remember it wrong. It's crazy.
So this one, I don't think we're going to be nearly as long, because I think we're coming close to it.
I think we're pretty wrapped up here.
Yeah, except for my big reveal.
Oh, you got the big reveal to do still. Okay.
Yeah.
You already blew mine like 3 times, so.
Have I?
Yeah. Probably shouldn't.
I wasn't even trying.
Well.
So, here's my theory.
Go ahead.
All right, and I'm combining what I have and know.
Okay.
So let's establish the world we live in. Okay. All time is happening simultaneously. I believe that. So this is a belief of mine. So you have to be on board with that to be able to follow me down the rabbit hole a little bit.
All right, I'm on board with you.
Okay. I also believe in the fact that energy cannot be created or destroyed, blah, 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 the whole...
Okay.
And therefore, reincarnation is very likely. Because once energy it leaves your body, it goes somewhere.
All right.
So I believe that reincarnation is possible.
I'm following you.
Okay. Now,
are you Buddhist, bro?
No, not fully, but
Hindu, I believe is.
So if you time is all happening at the same time, reincarnation is possible through energy, and there's endless parallel existences.
Okay.
Infinite parallel existences. I know I'm laying out three big concepts.
You have to agree with. All right.
Now, what that means is there's a parallel universe where when I was reincarnated, I was put into your body. My soul, my energy, and there's a timeline where my soul presence is in you.
Because if
it's not going to be exactly like me, because I'm going to go through possibly what you went through in your timeline, but my soul is there.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can make that assumption to where when you are reincarnated, you don't have to be reborn within your own universe, that you could you could be put into one of the parallel universes.
Okay.
So essentially you go up and you get to pick which room you want to go into. And each room is endless, but also just its own parallel reality.
Okay.
And then you look at how many cases there are of people who have memories of past lives.
Okay.
So reincarnation, memories from past lives that were technically within parallel universes, of which you're grabbing information that doesn't actually exist in your current universe.
Okay. And so that's all the Mandela
That's
effect.
the Mandela effect. That's why some people remember certain logos, but they don't remember all of the logos that are apparently changed.
Because
in certain timelines,
one timeline.
Whatever timeline they're recalling from is only being remembered from that parallel.
Well, we've just solved the Mandela effect.
So that's my theory.
It's done.
Parallel universes, reincarnation, and being able to be reincarnated into different parallel universes.
That sounds really odd, really strange to me. But when you think about when you think about the things that we know in science that we know to be true, they sound super fucking strange as well. Like string theory and like quarks and weird.
And the reason I put up time is simultaneous is because if it is linear, then you would be jumping, 80 years, 100 years at a time.
Right.
So all of us remembering this stuff now wouldn't really hold because they'd be all reincarnations from people who died, X amount of years ago and then blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking that, therefore, like I said, I was reincarnated in a fuck ton of different people all of this timeline, but it's just not our current existence where we're fucking bros.
Yeah, that's probably super loud.
It's probably super loud. So tell us what you think. Tell us your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button, the like button.
Yeah, and if you found it interesting, just maybe post it up on Facebook or something. Share it.
Help us out, man. Anything to get us going.
Yeah.
We're planning on doing these weekly over different topics. If you have a topic that you want us to kind of research, because essentially we're new to this world. So we find a topic, we research it for a week, and we bring you a video of our findings. That's pretty much how we're doing things.
Pretty much, and it's usually an overview, and it's usually a perspective of somebody who we're just kind of exploring, dipping our toes into the pool.
We're going to throw out the theories. We're going to talk about why we think that could or could not be, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah. So you email us at /shout@gmail.com.
Yep, it's all down in the description. You'll be able to find it. Check out our other shows, / bracket, if you like to laugh and giggle.
Yep, same YouTube channel, so just you can go to the channel and see our other stuff.
Definitely.
All right, is that going to do it?
I think that's going to do it. So until next time, until we've... what's up? Next topic.
Oh, yeah. What is going to be the next topic?
Strange disappearance in the woods. I'm going to dive in. If you're okay with it, if you're cool with it, I want to dive into my David Paldy's world of craziness.
All right.
The thing that blew my mind into this world. That's the true element that brought me in was the missing 411.
All right. Next episode is going to be all about strange disappearances in the woods and strange circumstances. Sounds great to me.
So, till next time.
All right.
Goodbye.